In today's video, I'm going to give you 3 steps to complete the year 2019 and the whole decade for that matter in a way that sets you up powerfully to go into the 2020s. Yes, I said the 2020s. In a way that sets you up powerfully to live your mastery, to discover and embrace your mastery. So welcome, my name is Daniel Piatek, and I help you get your unique genius unlocked, unlimited, and unleashed so that you can have the life that you came here to live. So your unique genius is that essence of who you are that you brought in this world to give as your expression in this world. Each of us have one, and it's unique. And it's a puzzle piece that's needed in order to make this world work, to build the kind of world that we all dream and have living in our hearts. Together, being our own unique genius, with other people being their unique geniuses, and finding new ways to create this world that we so desperately want to have. So in today's video, I'm going to give you 3 practical ways to focus, in essence, on how to complete this year. So this year has been an intense year, and I've spoken about it in previous videos. It's been a year of bringing up a lot to the surface so that we can each see things that are going on within ourselves, between us and other people in our lives, between us and the situations in our lives, so that we can see more clearly the nature of our lives and make decisions. So in order to start this next decade, the 2020s, a decade that promises profound change for each of us individually and for what we're living collectively. So whether you look at it from an astrological angle, a cosmic and energetic angle, the technology, you talk to technologists, you talk to futurists, scientists, people that look at the evolutionary arcs over the course of time. Almost no matter from what perspective you look at this, we have entered and are getting ready to dive headlong into a decade of profound change. So in order to prepare ourselves as best as we can, in order to start to live the mastery that we've developed over the course of our lifetimes, whatever that is for each of us, it's really imperative that we, in essence, take stock and make some very clear decisions in our lives so that we can complete this last year and move into this new time. So the first thing I'd like to focus on, I'm going to suggest that I'm going to give you 3 things, and there's 3 lenses with which to look at your life and kind of catch up with yourself at this point in your life. And I'm going to suggest you set aside a little bit of time, and if you have a chunk of time, great, but most people aren't going to have a lot of time necessarily, particularly at this time of the year. So I'm going to suggest that these be questions that at least you have rolling around in the back of your mind, so that you can catch up with who you've become over this quite tumultuous year for many of us. So the first is, in order to close down this year, is in essence to close up, to make decisions, to cut things off that don't serve you moving forward, to go through the clearing out, the letting go, to I want to say complete it, because if you've had a year like most of me and my clients, it's been a year of a lot of having to make some tough decisions about letting things go. So as we close down the year, I'm going to invite you to take a look at those situations in your life that you are aware of need to be taken to a conclusion of some sort, and actually conclude them. Make a decision. And I would say, if you're not ready to say, yes, I want to continue this, or no, I don't want to continue this, if you're not ready yet to make that clear decision, is make a conscious decision to not make that decision. Don't let things just slide into this new year without consciously making choices about where to put them. So, people in our lives, relationships of all sorts, of all natures, to be clear how you want to place yourself in relation to that person, to that situation, to that circumstance. If those situations, circumstances, and people are not supporting you as you now know yourself to be, I'm going to urge you to make a choice to move it in such a way that actually will support you. Don't put this off. So the second thing is, excuse me, the second thing is to stop and say, who am I now at this point in my life? How do I know myself to be? What do I value? What's important to me? To stop and make an assessment. Catch up with yourself. It's amazing to me how many times in a mentorship call with a client where they might be telling me all these things, and it's so clear to me so much has happened in the last week since we spoke last. But I can tell that it's not registering to them how much has shifted. And so until I mirror this back and say, okay, this is what I'm seeing, this is quite different from the last time, and here's where things are really working, and gosh, this was so difficult, to help them to see what has already happened. Until I do that, it's like they don't have power in relationship to the work that they've already done, because they can't see it and own it and embrace it and then use it moving forward. So I'm going to invite you to do this for yourself, is embrace, take a look at, take stock of what is important to me at this time in my life. What do I now recognize is important to me in terms of the kinds of relationships I want to have, the kind of relationship I want to have with myself, in relationship to work, to the family as a whole, to different family members. What is important to me here? Because in this last year, if you're not already aware of it, your values may have shifted fairly significantly about some things, maybe not everything, but some things that until you stop and take a look, you won't know what it is important to you now as you move in to start to create your life in 2020. In my next video, I'll be talking about how to once we've done this work of really closing up shop from this year and this last decade, how to set yourself up in a way that's powerful to step into this new year and new decade. So this work is really important so that you know who you are and what's important to you at this point in your life. So the third thing is similar but different. And it's to ask yourself, okay, so what have I learned in this past year, in this past decade? What have I learned that's really important to me? And what have I accomplished over this period of time? So I would say take those two benchmarks, 1 year ago and a decade ago. Think back to 2010. Oh my God, 2010. We were a little bit out from the financial collapse at that point. Think back into that time of your life and what has transpired over that period of time to see what have I learned, what skills have I developed, what have I accomplished in my life over these 10 years, and catch up with yourself, because so often for myself, I've done this for myself recently, and it's like, holy heck. Even if I look back 5 years, how dramatically my life has changed. And it's easy let me just speak for myself. It was easy for me to get caught up in the difficulty of these last months and the challenges that have come up in these last months to help me to reevaluate what's important to me at this point in my life. to get so caught up in these challenging times that I really lost track of how much has changed over this past 5 years, over this past 10 years. And so in doing that, it's really helped me to see, okay, so this period of time recently, because I'm growing, I'm moving, life is moving me forward, it's easy to kind of feel like, oh my gosh, where am I? What have I gained? Am I losing the plot in my life, etc. when life is challenging? So it's good to take this step back and reassess and see actually a lot has happened. A lot has changed, and I've grown and developed and accomplished quite a bit that then can be built on moving forward into the 2020s. So these 3 steps, again, are looking at what needs to be let go in your life and make the move. Yes, I keep it. No, I don't. Or yes, I'm going to make a change and this is the change, and then going about doing it. No, I'm going to remove that situation, circumstance from my life and go about doing it. Or if neither of those, if none of that is possible, doable, or palatable to you at this point, make a conscious choice to not act now, but don't just let it slide. The second step is to take a look at, who am I now? What's important to me? What are my values? Who am I in terms of what's important to me? What I think is valuable about me and what I want and desire in my life. What do I value? And the third is to take a look over the past year and the past decade at what you've accomplished and what you've learned. So if you take a little bit of time, this doesn't have to take a lot of time, but I really, really, really urge you to do this. I've found this really powerful for myself in doing this recently, to put myself on a ground that I feel like now I can move forward, understanding myself a little bit better. Understanding myself a little bit better. So I encourage you to do that, to get to know yourself anew at this point in your life and prepare yourself for a time of profound change, a time that for those of us who relate to this, to the idea of coming here in this life with purpose and mission, if that lives for you in any way as being a reality for you, now's the time. Now is the time to step into purpose and mission. It's why 2020 and the decade is about stepping into our mastery. And in order to do that, we have to align ourselves with what we now know to be who we are, what we've accomplished, and what we value. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video, which will be about how to start creating that life in 2020. And until then, go make your lists. All right, lots of love. Bye for now.